Good morning, everyone. This is the Terrace Garden. I'm going to introduce you to some of the plants I've been putting in. There's a lot more work to be done, but as you can see, we're going to start here in the southeastern corner. Looks like I've got a bachelor button in the back. I have white lavender. In the front, I have alyssum. This is a volunteer borage. Dill is getting big. That wasn't planted. And then I have some sedum. I think they call it autumn glory or something, some such nonsense. I've always called it dragon's blood. And we have another borage in the back, it looks like. And then I've got another bachelor button, some more borage. This is a juniper bush. I like it because the trimmings make really great mulch, and so I'm going to be doing that later today. I've trimmed this side but not the other. Kind of hard to see in the video where the edge is there. And then I've got more white lavender, and then I have some sedum here. This is kind of a ground cover that took over, and you can see my dandelions in the back, and another juniper. Now if I pull out, you can see I have 3 levels to this terrace, and this is all on the eastern side, and this is usually where I neglect this side the most, but this year I decided to start here first. So on the second tier, I've planted some zinnia in hopes that I can get some flowers for natural dyes. I do a lot of natural dye baths. So I have my coreopsis here, that's Dyer's coreopsis. It gives me a beautiful golden yellow. I have more of the autumn glory. That stuff goes everywhere. Lamb's ear. This is a bush that hasn't been trimmed in 4 or 5 years. I trimmed it and it doesn't look that great. So I may actually just take that out. I really do not like the thorn bushes. Not one of my favorite things. I have another zinnia in the back there. Some more Dyer's coreopsis in the front. And I have some blue fescue grass, and it's never really done real well here, but we're starting to improve the soil. I'm using a no-dig method, which has actually vastly improved the soil. I've broken probably 2 spades and 3 hand trowels trying to dig this every June, and it just never, it's more like concrete. And finally, with not digging and then just adding compost, coffee grounds, chop and drop. Chop and drop, for those who don't know, is just taking your weeds and cutting them at the base and leaving them to decompose on top of the soil. Put another zinnia in the back and another coreopsis, and then I've got another one of these barberry bushes, which I really don't like. I like the color, I just don't like the thorns, and they grow so fast too, and you can't really compost them because then you've got thorns that you're handling in your compost. And this is the Dyer's coreopsis in full bloom, and once I trim this guy back, these guys will have more room to spread. And on the other side of the juniper bush down here, we ended up with more borage. Borage kind of goes where it wants to in the yard. And then I've got some of the purple clover. I think some people call it red clover. I don't know. It's really tasty in a salad. I like the flowers. And we have some more over here. Originally, we just left it because there was a rabbit living down here, and we felt that that was better rabbit food than encouraging the rabbit to eat the carrots and the beans. So leaving food for the animals helps on your pest management in your own garden. And then back here I have some, I think that's dianthus. I planted some Baker's Creek. It's burgundy dianthus this year, and they actually sprouted. I have very bad luck with flowers germinating indoors in the winter. More dill. That's a calendula down there. This guy in the dill is a calendula. I put some alyssum on the corners. It rained yesterday, so hopefully that'll take. And that's what alyssum looks like when it's happy. This is lavender cotton, otherwise known as Santolina. I put that in here when we lost a tree. This used to be a shade section, and what I had in here just didn't like it. So I couldn't get any more of the lavender, and it was dying. Anything I put in here was dying out every winter. So the Santolina seems to like it. It's been here a number of years. I have some more dianthus in the back. I'm not a big advocate of using the plastic spoons to write on, but I happen to work for doing food demonstrations, and I have probably close to 500 plastic spoons right now. So it just seemed the easiest thing to do, and I'll reuse those next year too. And then again, there's more dianthus. Here's some volunteers. This might be borage. It might not. We got a lot of sunflowers went to seed too. I have a carrot down here, and there's some more alyssum. The other juniper bush. They all need some trimming. This one took a big hit one winter here, and a lot of it died out on the, this is the western side. And this needs to be weeded. That is wood sorrel. The 3-leaf clover looking thing is a wood sorrel. It's edible, but it's not worth keeping around, but it makes great compost. And then I've got, looks like a marigold in the back, and I have more alyssum, and that looks like a marigold there, and there's the other Santolina. And on this side we've got another dianthus. So if I pan back, you can see the whole thing. I've got 4 of those darn barberry bushes, and yeah, they produce a lot of compost, but not anything I can really use. And then on the second tier, I have some Dyer's coreopsis. I just transplanted that, so it's not as robust as some of the others. And then more of this sedum, this fall autumn glory, or whatever they call it. This guy occupies too much space. And then I've got another zinnia back there. I just put in a giant marigold. That is going to be yellow, not orange. And then I have 2 coxcomb in front. I've got a lot more coxcomb in pots that need to get planted. So as I weed some of this, some of that's going in here. You can see it could use a little bit of weeding. Again, we have some more purple clover, and behind is some, well, it looks like a dandelion and some violets. We have violets growing everywhere. All right, on the top, we have the soil checked. So the boards are not leaching arsenic, which was my biggest concern. There is some arsenic, but it's so minute in the soil that it's okay. But we watch that as they start to deteriorate. They do have arsenic in them. The older boards from years ago also had copper. These don't. So these are my purple queen bush beans. I put in a pineapple sage here, which should be wonderful for the bees and butterflies. The garden has a feral collection of calendula. I don't try and keep it under control. It is gorgeous when it blooms, but it's also free range. Put in some orange mint, and our family doesn't really care for the smell of it. It reminds us of household cleaners. So I'm not sure if I'm going to keep that or get rid of that. Originally we put it in because it's supposed to help deter worms in fruit trees. And originally there was a nectarine tree in here, not nectarine, peach, but it rotted out either last year or the year before. And then I've got some Monarda, which is also called bee balm. That's going to bloom bright red flowers. And in front of that, more Dyer's coreopsis. Yeah, while I'm standing on the steps, we're going to just slowly pan over to the other side. We're going back east here again. I have more purple queen beans, sage, and that's skirt. Skirt is like a perennial parsnip. And in the background is more Monarda. That's going to look quite stunning once it takes off. On the fence line, I have, it looks like there's a borage shot up. That's what the blue flowers are right now. But on the fence line, I actually have peas growing. So as we look down here, I just put these in. I have another marigold. I think it's a giant marigold. And I put in the eggplant in here because I just tore out a bunch of mustards that were in here. They were early food for the bees. And then I've got another one of those Autumn Glory. And then behind the Autumn Glory, I have tomatoes on the trellises, 2 of them. They just got transplanted. Some more lamb's ear, a couple more marigolds in front to deter bugs. And I think I tossed in some nasturtiums in here somewhere. And then yesterday the sweet potatoes came in and I had to find a home for them in a hurry. So they actually went behind where that sunflower is. They went so they can crawl up the trellis. And I dug a nice trench and put compost in. And hopefully they'll like that spot. It tends to be the lowest point in the yard, so it does tend to be a little more wet, and sweet potatoes do like it wet. So that was last year's compost pile. Not much left of it, but still decomposing. And let's zoom out and take a walk around to the other side. Sorry about that. At the top of the trellis on this side, I have some carrots and lettuce growing in here along with the calendula. In the far corner, there's some thyme. And then a lot more Dyer's coreopsis. The Dyer's coreopsis likes this side because it gets full on sun in the summer, and that's its favorite thing. And theoretically, behind these guys was supposed to be an entire row of sunflowers. That didn't happen. This is our new quince tree that I just got. We went to a company called Edible Landscaping, and it's supposed to give us both beautiful flowers and good fruit. So we'll see how that goes. More skirt and a sunflower. And that's all we're going to cover today because this video is getting longish. We'll see you next time, and happy gardening.